We start with breaking news. A Minneapolis officer now facing charges in a deadly police chase that killed an innocent driver. Prosecutors just charged Officer Brian Cummings with manslaughter and vehicular homicide. They say Cummings was going nearly 80 miles per hour when he slammed into Lanil Frazier's SUV in Minneapolis in July. Police say the officer was chasing a robbery suspect and had his lights and siren on. The Hennepin County attorney called Cummings' actions, quote, inexcusable and criminal. Frazier was the uncle of the teenager who recorded the cell phone video of George Floyd's killing. The family's attorney says they are grateful for today's charges. This is a live look inside the Hennepin County Government Center right now. We are waiting to hear from County Attorney Mike Freeman at any moment. As soon as he begins speaking, we'll bring that to you live as it happens. Back to breaking news. The Hennepin County Attorney is speaking about the charges filed against a Minneapolis police officer in a deadly chase. Let's listen in.
Charges and prosecutes cases. I don't necessarily set the policy of police departments or other entities, but sometimes the policies are so poorly done that I need to get involved. I've tried to informally and behind the scenes get involved to improve the policy, and it simply has not worked. So it is time, in this case, which is as egregious as anyone I've seen, to do something about it, and I have.
In your opinion, what policy change would you make to the pursuit policy? What would you change?
Well, first off, over 50% of the pursuits that are done are merely for traffic violations, and only about 8% are for felonies. It seems to me a high-speed chase ought to only be done when it's a serious and violent felony. That's not what the policies say. Secondly, you know, if you look at some of the cases, recent cases, you have this one, driving through a residential neighborhood, narrow streets at 90+ miles an hour, at night, not knowing what's around the next corner, notified that the crimes that these people allegedly committed were not significantly violent or dangerous, and then driving towards an intersection at close to 100 miles an hour. I mean, the technology shows that he was driving at 68 miles an hour upon impact. Officers are trained, he had his sirens and his lights on, and officers are trained that they can run through red lights, but they've got to approach them at a speed in which they can stop or take evasive action. And they got to do it for good reason. Minor felonies, 12:30 a.m., 90 miles an hour residential, that's wrong. Now, this is not the only one. As you know, the case when people were being pursued and the car was near Matt's Bar in South Minneapolis and killed 3 people. Or the recent State Patrol case when they were chasing and the car being pursued jumped the curb and went into a park and seriously injured 2 kids and hurt another. Or the individual who slid into a police car on his motorcycle when they were going through an intersection in South Minneapolis. There have been 40 fatalities in Minnesota in the last 10 years. And there's something like 1,400 in this country. We've had lots of discussions about changes in police policy that need to be done. And this is one that, frankly, hasn't gotten the attention it should. But I'm tired of seeing people die because of these policies.
You're just listening in to Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman detailing the charges against a Minneapolis police officer in a deadly police chase. Today, Brian Cummings was charged with manslaughter and vehicular homicide. Watch for continuing coverage of this breaking story online and on television later today.